Hello, I am Renee Wilhelm. I am an occupational therapist at the Wood County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and thank you coming for this session. I am going to be talking about assistive technology for home safety. Let me share my screen and we can get started. I do think it's important to note that I am doing this presentation in the end of February of 2026. So please be mindful that there may be changes in technology that is available since this presentation was recorded. All right, so let's dive into some assistive technology for home safety. Before we dive in, there's this nice quote here that we like to refer back to, is that to be successful in home, school, work, or other environments, to achieve our hopes and dreams, to simply get through each day, everyone needs assistive technology, accommodations, and support. So thinking about assistive technology, any device that helps us do things simple and easier, are common things we use every single day. So we're using technology right now in this presentation, and I'm sure there's all sorts of other technology that is currently surrounding you. So it's a way for all of us to kind of get through each day in much easier capacity. So like I said, everyone is using assistive technology. Really, it's broken down to any item, piece of equipment, or product system that can help you increase or maintain your independence, skills, and involvement in the community. Looking at the waivers, all Ohio Department of Developmental Disability waivers do cover assistive technology. Starting, we're gonna dive into home automations. So home automations really is a fancy way of making things happen within our home. So we're gonna first start with a smart hub. These are potentially like the Amazon Alexa, the Google Nest. There is a hub with Apple as well. These are dependent upon the internet. There are different kinds, like the one pictured here, do not have any screens. There are other ones that have screens on them. So be mindful of the location in which you plan on putting one of these hubs. We encourage that you use one without a screen for areas like the bedroom or the bathroom. Um, but otherwise, maybe something like the screen in the kitchen for a screen might be a better option. You can activate these with your voice. Alexa now has options to do things such as touch screen, where you can touch the screen and you can select different widgets or buttons to push if you want to answer some of the programmed information in there, such as setting an alarm, or asking for the weather, etc. Or there's also push buttons. So flick buttons is something that is compatible with the Alexa. It is a way to activate the Alexa without having to use your voice. The button is about the size of a quarter, and you can program each button to do 3 different commands. So there's single press, double tap, or long hold. And if I were to single tap it, let's say that is to get the weather. If I were to double tap it, maybe it's telling me a joke. So you can customize it to whatever you want the tap to mean, and that would speak to the Alexa for you through the background and like their setup of their routines. All right, things you can have some autonomy over your environment through like the smart plugs or some of the other systems that exist. Smart plugs. So if you know somebody who doesn't have a lamp right next to their bed or a way to control their lights, even plugging something as simple as a lamp into a plug that can be controlled with a smart hub or a app on your phone. That way they can manage their lights while still in bed. Smart bulbs are another great option. So if you didn't want to get a smart plug, you could put smart bulbs right into your lamp. And then again, you can control it with a smart hub or with the app. You can adjust the brightness. So if someone doesn't want the full brightness of the light as soon as they wake up or when they're winding down at the end of the day, they can adjust the brightness and then maybe use that to in and out of bed. You could also use that if you were going into another room and it's dark, you can have the light turned on in advance. Etc. Locks is a great way to look at home safety. So we have a few individuals who have a hard time being able to get up and physically manage the lock if they're inside and a visitor is coming. So there are options where you can do a lock control through the app on your phone. So I wouldn't even have to get up to be able to unlock my door. Also, if you think about the frequency in which staffing may be visiting, and the turnover on staffing. If you had a keypad lock, you could have a code per staff member, and if that individual was no longer receiving services from a certain staff member, the the code could be deleted so that that code is no longer available for somebody to come into the house with that code. Cameras and video doorbells for home safety, being able to monitor who's at the door, who's coming and going, really keep someone who is vulnerable to some of those risks a way to keep them a little bit safer. Having the ability to control your thermostat to keep you comfortable is another great way to work on that safety. Curtains and blinds. You can control curtains and blinds with using a remote, or there are some that are also compatible with an Alexa or Google. We have SwitchBot is a device that we use that goes right on the curtains, and it pushes it open and closed. And we also have curtains that are blinds, excuse me, that have a button that can raise and lower it. There are smart sensors that also exist that can help with home safety, such as flood sensors. A lot of people put these like underneath their sink if they were to be traveling, but this would be another great resource to have maybe in the bathroom next to the tub or the toilet. There's also temperature sensors that can be paired with like your thermostat, but also temperature sensors that can go in the refrigerator to make sure that the temperature isn't above what it should be to keep your food safe. And there's also temperature sensors that you can put by the stove to make sure that it's not getting too hot if we accidentally left the stove on. Other things like having fire and carbon monoxide detectors that can give off an alarm would be a great way to keep somebody safe at home. We like to share some success stories of some of our individuals. So this is a success story of this gentleman here who uses the video doorbell, and it really allows him to live independently in an apartment and feel safer. He also uses his Echo Dot to check the weather, set reminders. He also enjoys using it to listen to music or jokes, determine what to wear for the day. He's a very active guy. He's out and about a lot, going to all kinds of community events and rec events that we have, and really enjoys these devices that maximize his independence and safety. Moving into the kitchen. There is a very large variety of options of things that can exist within the kitchen. Here is kind of a limited list of them. I'd be more than happy to go over some with you if you would like further information. But again, looking at like the Google, the Alexa, it's a great way to help with some of that safety. You can ask it to set a timer when you're cooking, clarify information. If you're not really sure what something requires, getting some extra instructions on the Alexa, you can ask it for a recipe and it'll read the recipe out loud to you. But also, let's say you get a recipe and it says something is in like Celsius degrees. So you can also ask the Alexa or the Google to convert that. So that way you are keeping yourself safe. You're not over or under cooking your food. There are a variety of smart appliances that range from coffee pots, microwave, refrigerators, etc. that can be really helpful. They have automatic stove shutoffs for the stove and the oven. These work for gas and electric stoves. They also have something called a burner alert that you can put right on the knob of your oven. And so if you keep the oven on, the stove top on too long, then it will let you know by beeping. And the picture here in the top middle, that is the cabinet pull-down shelf, which is great for making cabinets a lot more accessible and easier to reach for somebody. Ways to kind of increase the independence and some of that feeding assistance, having like an Obi robot or adaptive utensils might be all that they need. The Janot spoon, that's a stabilizing spoon, so it allows someone who has tremors. It counterbalances the tremors and prevent their food from falling off, making sure they're getting adequate nutrition. Lower tech adaptive tools such as the nylon knives that are showed there, adaptive cutting boards, a cup cleaner, a drink dispenser. It's a little knob like faucet that you'd put on top of like a milk jug or juice, and you'd push the little trigger and it would dispense the liquid right into your cup. And then on this mug, that is a liquid level indicator, that blue thing. So that would indicate to somebody when the liquid is getting toward the top. It will beep and vibrate to prevent overflowing or encourage you to stop pouring. And the other things like rocker knives, nylon knives, cut-resistant gloves, again, like an adaptive cutting board, ways to allow you to still be independent, but also reduce your risk of cutting yourself during meal prep. Here's another one of our success stories. This is Mike. He has an Amazon Echo Show. He uses this to help remind him to take his medication and do chores. Also really likes to do it to do some exercise with it, listen to music. And his motivation for getting this device was to help him find recipes. So he really likes to find recipes online and explore ways to be more independent and healthy with his cooking. Moving on to fall prevention. We feel like fall prevention is really important to talk about because if we look at the statistic that 1 in 3 Ohioans age 65 and older fall each year, is a pretty startling statistic. So we want to find ways that we can help reduce falls and ensure that there's some help behind them if they do fall. So one things we look at are watches. There are fall detection watches that range from Apple Watch, Stride Watch, etc., that can send notifications to caregivers, or there'll be a call tree associated with that in case someone does fall. Same thing for fall pendants. We can look at a variety of fall pendants that would activate a call tree versus just calling 911 right away. Considering some more of those home automations. So, for example, the pull down shelf, or excuse me, that's not home automation, but having like the smart plugs, improved lighting, ways that we can activate our house, or even like the smart blinds. That way I don't have to reach to open my blind. Or like I said, like the pull down shelf, like in the kitchen, so I don't have to reach in a hard to reach spot. Utilizing some smart cleaning appliances that prevent having to do all this extra work. A smart vacuum might be the trick for somebody. Low tech, this could be as easy as effective footwear, different type of shoelaces, non-slip surfaces. Maybe we need to also look at like low tech, like just reminders to take medication or to do this or that. And then durable medical equipment. Do we need grab bars, shower chairs, etc., to help really keep us safe? We have Lucina as another success story. She wears this fall detection watch. She is a very active woman. She is always out and about. She is a provider. They love to try all the different community events. They have a list of at least 55 different places they want to go visit. Having this fall detection watch has been really helpful for her when she's out and about with her provider, or when she's out and about by herself. She feels much more safe when she's wearing it, and which gives her that confidence to continue to be as active as she wants to be. All right, so continuing on with the community, looking at elopement and community safety. Some of these things would include window or door alarms. There's a variety of different types of door and window alarms that could chime right from the device itself, from a chime that's plugged into an outlet. That device could be paired with an app. There are some door alarms that can be paired with remote supports. So there's all kinds of different options for monitoring that. Again, looking at cameras or video doorbells is really helpful for elopement, especially if you have a loved one that leaves the house. We can say, hey, I saw them heading out and going to the left. I was able to watch them this far. But also, we can look back to see what the individual was wearing. So I know that my loved one was wearing a blue t-shirt and gray sweatpants or something. I can give a lot more descriptive information about what they're wearing and where they went, to the correct people to notify them. GPS tracking is another option. This ranges from maybe like an Apple AirTag to something such as Angel Sense. They all have different features and pros and cons to them. So you want to do a little bit more digging if there's something in this area that's important to you. ID bracelets are great. You can wear them in different ways, as jewelry or even like on your shoes. They are now also coming up with ID bracelets that you can scan the QR code on it and it'll lead someone to like your list of medication or important information about you. So a way to gather more information about somebody who might be unresponsive or unable to provide that information. When we're in the community, sometimes it's nice to have like a safe place for an individual. So this could be like a stroller or a wagon. Like this is your place, this is where we go to, this is where we sit. Maybe we have some of our calming resources available. So having that resource could also be really helpful. Two-way communication devices, whether that be um, a specialized watch, a phone, talking through like maybe like a geocom, something that would be offered through remote supports, just a way to be able to communicate with a loved one if they were to be out and about in the community. Geocoms with remote supports also have like the GPS tracking built into them, that two-way call system where you can call and ask for help. Some of them also have fall detection built into them. So if you're looking at that route, I would ask the remote supports provider more information about their geocom or their community resources. Here's our success story. Little Joey, he tends to elope from his family. They had a big trip to the Chicago Shed Aquarium. He started utilizing the angel sense, and that gave his family such peace of mind that they could go out and have fun and enjoy it, and know that he had the angel sense on him. So in case there was ever a need to have to track him, they would be able to do that very quickly and easily. All right, and we don't want to talk about home safety without individual risk or that dignity of risk that we like to talk about. So before we're considering implementing technology, we want to just make sure that we are looking at all these risks identified in the Ohio ISP. What are the risks? What do they look like? Where and when do they occur? What supports do they need? Why do they need this type of support? But also, what is their level of supervision and who is responsible? So, I'm going to tell you that if someone needs close and constant supervision, a GPS tracking is not a appropriate replacement for that level of supervision. So always keep that in mind of what we're asking and what supports they already have. Here's a nice little grid, another way to look at that. So if we have all these sections of the ISP and these information about these risks, if that's a little bit easier way for someone to break it down. Also, if we are looking at some of these devices, such as a GPS tracker or like a camera, we really want to make sure that we are considering the Human Rights Committee. This is that group that's established within the county board that helps oversee safeguarding, making sure that we are not overstepping the boundary of the rights for our individuals that we serve. So please make sure you consult with HRC if you are using some of these technologies. Thank you so much for attending this. If you guys ever have any questions, reach out to us at that remote support at Wood County DD, and we'd be more than happy to consult with you further about home safety. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your day.